Thank you for the question. It's a good question. I appreciate it. The question is, do I have to wait for somebody to say I'm sorry before I forgive them? The question is based upon Luke 17 verse 4, which says if someone sins against you, or if your brother sins against you 7 times, and in the same day 7 times comes back to you and say, I repent, forgive him. So based upon this verse here, it's saying you don't forgive somebody unless they say, I repent. Now, if this was the only verse in the Bible that I had to go by, and no other verses that talk about forgiveness, I will answer that question by saying, yes, you cannot forgive somebody until they repent. The problem is, this is not the only verse in the Bible that talks about forgiveness. There are a lot of other verses that talk about forgiveness, but let me just show you one in particular. Mark chapter 11 and verse 25. Mark 11:25 says, if you stand praying and you remember you have something against someone, forgive them. Now notice, Mark 11:25 has nothing to do with them. It has nothing to do with them repenting. It has nothing to do with them saying they're sorry. It has nothing to do with them, period. Mark 11:25 focuses on you, not them. Luke 17:4 focuses on forgiveness as it relates to what they have to do. Mark 11:25 focuses on forgiveness as it relates to what you have to do. There are 2 aspects to forgiveness. The first aspect is Luke 17:4. You cannot forgive somebody for what they did to you unless they ask for forgiveness. That's one aspect of it. Forgiveness that's based on what they have to do. The other aspect of forgiveness is you releasing yourself from the anger, the guilt, and the bitterness you have toward a person, and not holding that over their head as a reason not to do good toward those people. That's 11:25, Mark 11:25. Okay? What I like to focus on is not necessarily what they have to do. You can't make people repent. You can't make people say they are sorry. And many times what happens is we hold that bitterness and guilt and anger within our heart, all because they haven't come back and said they are sorry. We've got to start focusing on what they need to do and focus on what we need to do. Mark 11:25 is a verse that is trying to get you to clean your heart up. If you have something against somebody, Mark 11:25 says, forgive them. You do not have to wait on a person to say they are sorry before you forgive them. You don't have to do that. Okay? Forgiveness should come forgiveness for a person should come way before they ever say they're sorry. You should release them of the bitterness, release yourself of the guilt and the bitterness and the anger from those people. You should release yourself of those feelings way before they ever come back to you and say you're sorry. And if you don't think it's something that you can do, listen to what Jesus did on the cross. Jesus asked for forgiveness. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Okay? They didn't ask for forgiveness. They didn't say I was sorry, but he asked for their forgiveness. Now you say, well, Jesus could do that. Okay, well, let me give you another example. Stephen in Acts chapter 7, while he was dying, while those people were throwing stones at him and he was dying, Stephen said, Father, lay not this charge against him, against these people. Now, what was Stephen doing? Stephen was forgiving them for what they were doing to him. He was forgiving them. Stephen was releasing his guilt, was releasing any ill feelings he had toward those people. He was releasing that, and he was saying, Lord, don't hold this against them. They don't know what they're doing. Now, just because Stephen forgave them, does that mean that God forgave them? No, because God can't forgive a person until that person repents. Okay? So, to close it out, keep in mind, there are 2 aspects to forgiveness. Forgiveness involves a person being forgiven of their sin. You can't forgive them for what they've done unless they apologize. But also, forgiveness means releasing the bitterness, the anger, and the hate in your own heart. Mark 11:25. And if you don't do that, you're in just as bad shape. I mean, you're in just the shape that you're in is just as worse as the shape that they're in. Okay, stop focusing so much on what people need to do to get your forgiveness, and focus on the fact that you can forgive a person way before they ever ask for forgiveness. Don't you miss these two verses now. Put Luke 17:4 with Mark 11:25, and you'll see that there are two aspects to forgiveness, not just one. God bless you.